everybody. Craig Zimmerman, Jessie, LaBuhn here on a beautiful Sunday afternoon on the banks of the St. Clair River. And it's about that time of year, Jessie. We get together and we talk about what happened last year, what we're looking forward to this year. And it's the middle of August, literally. It's the 15th we're taping. And by the time you see this, will be the end of the week. So it'll be somewhere around Friday, Saturday, they might see this. And the teams will be done with their second week of practice. They'll have done their scrimmages, and they'll be looking forward to their final week of preparation for opening night. We'll go over that and talk about it. So we'll do a little recap here of 2020. You know, obviously we had an abbreviated, punctuated season where it stopped, started again. Mariners played 9 games, won 8 out of those 9. Went into the playoffs strong, beating Warren Fitzgerald, Clintondale. They beat Hazel Park, Madison, Marysville, Detroit Osborne, Warren Lincoln, Detroit Denby. The 9th game didn't take place. It was a forfeit because the Mariners were not able to play because of contact with COVID. So
Notre Dame, right?
Yep. And then they came up a little bit short against Frankenmuth on January 8th, 2021, so a little bit late.
Yeah, I think their last game before that was like November 8th, like what should have been, you know, the week before actual state finals, you know, so they had quite a delay there to move on to the next game.
Yep. Then you wanted to talk about where the Mariners are. Formats have changed, so we know where they're at in what division.
Yep, we're still Division 5, but that changes a little bit as far as, you know, new playoff format this year. So it's more of a point system now, so you get more points for playing, you know, divisions higher than you, actually lower, you know, Division 4, 2,
right.
1. But after that, so it's all a point system. So that's always something that every team in the state's going to have to look at this year, you know, and how they're going to. It's no longer 6 wins get you into playoffs automatically.
Right. Yeah, and the thing about it is that it has to do with the population of the schools you're playing. So you somewhat get penalized by playing a Madison with, say, roughly about 383 students. They may be good, but if you're playing a team that's bigger than you, you get more points. But we won't go over that right now. Talk about the division Mariners are in.
Yep, division Mariners are again this year. They're in Division 5. They are Division 5. They're also in the MAC Silver. Along with Madison, Warren Fitzgerald, Hazel Park, Clintondale, and Marysville.
Yep. And over the years, the Mariners have teeter-tottered from gold to silver mostly.
Yeah. Actually, the first 18 years of after we transitioned from SCAL here to the MAC, Macomb Area Conference, and there are 6 divisions there: gold, silver, bronze, and then red, white, and blue. Mariners, again, this year in the silver. But the first 18 years of this, actually, after, I think, the 96 season, which doesn't seem like that very long ago, I still remember the old SCAL, because that's what we played when we were in high school. But, yeah, they spent the first 18 seasons in gold, and they've transitioned into silver, which we've been ever since.
And most of that, for all you football fans, most of the reason for that is the size of the schools generally and the competitive nature. It's tough to go and play with maybe 550 kid school against teams that are, the Warren teams that might have 1,500, some near the 2,000 mark. So that's where it becomes difficult, especially in football.
Sure. And even back in the SCAL days, I mean, the times when you play Imlay City, Marysville, St. Clair, Marine City, I mean, those were all schools, were all close to the same amount of kids, so it was very competitive. But, as things changed over the years, all of a sudden you get a big discrepancy in the number of kids per school, and it's just not a competitive nature. So the state of Michigan has gone to more of a ranking file system. So we're in the silver, and we can go over the number of kids listed in each school on our school and what division they're in.
And this year's a little bit different. Usually you start off the season and you've got a couple games to sort of tune up for your divisional games. And even though game 1 is not a divisional game, it's the arch rival game against the team to the north, as some people would say, St. Clair.
Yeah, we've got 2 teams to the north, actually. The first one being St. Clair. So yeah, it's going to be a big week 1 for the Mariners and the Saints, of course, as well.
Yeah, I mean it's a grudge match every year. and you're in district with them, and you know them, and it's the #1 game of the year. And in some cases, people look at it and say, you hate to play that game #1, but that's just the way it is this year. So we're going to get up early on the Friday of that game, and it's going to be the great atmosphere. I think there's going to be a lot of people because I think there's sort of a pent-up demand too with the last year with fans not being able to be there.
Sure, being last year, our first 3 weeks of the season got canceled, and then this year, so we go up against one of our in-district rival of the Saints. But not only that is both the JV and the varsity are going to play on the same night. So I mean, you're going to have a packed house over there. The JV plays at 4, and then those teams will clear the field and go get a bite to eat or whatever, and then 7:30, the varsity is going to come out, and that's week 1 of the season. So there's a lot of pent up animosity here going against from the north and the south.
Yep. Now St. Clair comes in. They had a 1-6 season, but it's one of those things that you always look at a game like this. You say the records obviously from last year don't matter, but they never tend to matter in a crosstown rivalry. So
right, because each team graduates people. You've got replacements, and we'll go over that from the Marine City side.
Yep.
But St. Clair last year, their week 1, which was their week 4. I think they lost 4 starters there, so they had a rough season. And from everything that I've heard and and listened to the podcast of Stuck on Sports, which is a great outlet to listen to. They kind of taken that to heart, and they're like, we're doing nothing but get better this year. So I mean, and the Marine City's coaching staff and the kids as well have been like, we're not taking anything for granted. We're going to go out and prepare just as hard as we ever have,
right.
For week 1, because it was a big game week 1.
Oh yeah. So St. Clair, for purposes of wanting to know, has 787 students. Mariners are at 5 what this year? I think it's about 550, somewhere in that range.
528, I think.
Okay. Week 2, we're on the road.
Yeah, against Southlake, which is a Division 5 as well.
Yep. And then we come back home against another rival. Marysville game will be week 3. Marysville's gotten a little bit bigger in size as far as number of students, but that's a good competitive game.
Sure.
Obviously, it's your second big game in 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's another big one. 837 students, and that's a big one for Marine City as points as well, because then we're going to the point system, not the playoff wins, and they're Division 3. And I don't know if anybody of you guys watched last year's game, but that was that was something. I mean, you could go back and watch that. It's like the '84 World Series Tigers game. You could watch that every day, and it never gets old. I mean, that was just an unbelievable game that the Mariners came back and won in the last few seconds.
Oh, can you imagine how the winter went for Marysville coaches? I mean, they scored with under a minute left, or just over a minute, and probably thought they had in the bag.
Sure. Short squib kick, and then just gave too much time back to Jeffrey Hessup in the Marine City offense, and that was something, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable. You're right. That is a game for the ages. So the Mariners will be home on week 3. Week 4, we're on the road at Warren Fitzgerald.
Another Division 3, 883 kids.
Yep.
Marine City has typically been done pretty well with them, in the past. Again, Division 3. Now you're looking at what division and how many points each win will get you. So not only do you get more points for playing at a higher division, but you also get points for every game they win. So
yes, the idea is that if you're playing a bunch of 1-8 teams, you're not going to get as many points as if you play a bunch of 8-1 teams.
Sure.
Makes sense. Strengths of schedule, and they want people to put a good schedule together. Then the following, we will be home in week 5 against Clintondale.
Yep. In week 6, we are away at Hazel Park.
And then we come back home for week 7 against Madison, which is that's a typo. They're not a Division 4 team. Madison would be a Division 7 team.
Okay.
But they're so week 7 home against Madison, then week 8
away at Warren Lincoln.
And then week 9 we come home to finish the season off against Notre Dame Prep, who's a strong Division 4 team. So that'll be a good way to end the season against a tough competitor that way.
Yeah, we weren't able to play them last year because of the COVID contact tracing, unfortunately. And we look back at all the goofy things that happened last year. So that was the game that we had to forfeit and actually counted as a loss. So that actually cost us home field advantage against that Frankenmuth team. And I'm not sure. I think the state of Michigan has ruled that different. I think they're going to call that a no contest this year instead of a forfeit loss. So, in the event something like that happens, nobody wants to see that happen this year. Hopefully we're past all of that, and we can just get on to, a normal season. I know everybody's looking forward to, crowds being back at the game and the band being there, and there was just so much there last year that was missing. It just,
it seemed odd. It seemed odd us doing the games, and it was quite silent, and it was eerie almost. Yep. Now the new playoff format. Do you want to talk about details or not?
We can discuss that maybe this year during because it is a little complicated. Not only do you get a flat amount of points for playing a higher division team, but then every time that team wins, you get additional points. So it's going to be. Each team's going to have their own dedicated statistician running the numbers. Projecting wins, losses, whatever that. So I'm sure it's no longer can you come down to week 6 or week 7 and say, okay, we've won our week 6 or week 7 game. We can kind of celebrate. We're going to the playoffs, and you still got to keep your head down. But we talk about more of that this year on TV during the games.
We'll go over the whole team here as the roster here in a second, and then we'll go over maybe some of the holes in returning lettermen and stuff like that. I'll just start off here. Coach did them in alphabetical order this time, so. First in line is number 70, a junior, Alex Tigert, and following him is number 50, a senior, Andrew Jones, followed by number 74, junior, Andrew Rickel, number 4, junior, Anthony Ruffino, which it's hard to believe that he's just a junior.
Yeah, seems like you've heard that name for a long time.
Followed by number 15, junior, Brendan Gray. Next up is number 34, junior Brock Osterlin. Number 88, junior Caleb Curtis. Number 54, junior Caleb Volkman. Number 77, senior Carter Ames. Number 1, senior Charles Tigert. And next up would be Cole O'Croy, number 51, a junior. 16, junior number 16, Cole Smallstig. And number 64, Connor Mason's a junior, and number 6, Connor Miller is a senior.
Yeah, and then we'll pick up with number 58, a junior, Connor Fournier, senior, number 5, Daniel Zwang, another senior, number 19, Darian King, a junior, 53, Griffin Schulte, senior, Jacob Hincherich, junior, 23, J.M. Lutz, junior, number 8, Jeffrey Heslop, a sophomore, 55, Jeremy Westrick. A senior, Caden Chapman, number 20. A junior, number 12, Keegan Leach. A senior, number 73, Kyle Smallstig. A senior, number 22, Nathan Miller. A senior, number 27, Nathan McTevia. And number 57, also a senior, Nicholas Berman. And another senior, number 69, Noah Stevenson.
And then we'll go over the rest of them. Will be number 25, senior Nolan Disselrath. Number 14, a sophomore, Parker Atkinson. Number 7, a senior, Scott Kretschmar. Number 33, a senior, Trent Nelson. Number 17, a senior, Ty Nelson. Number 56, senior, Tyler Wozniak. Next up is sophomore, 66, Will Steyer. And then we got 21, senior Wyatt Walker, and rounding out the Mariners' 2021 team is junior Zach Tetler, number 26. So we got them all, unless there's anybody added in the last week.
Yep, that we haven't gotten. So all in all, it's 19 seniors, 16 juniors, and 3 sophomores. So we can, we announced last year, I forgot how many seniors graduated. So, every year you have these, these key people you think are graduating. You're like, man, how are we going to fill those spots? Right. You just feel like you're so much of a loss. But, even this year going into, so you look at fast forward to next year, you're going to have 16 returning, right. and some other, there may be 3 or 4 year, varsity players. So, and I'm sure we'll talk about this a little later, but the Marine City's coaching staff has always had such a forward thinking, like they know where the holes are going to be, what they're going to fill, and not try to replace that offensive defensive system every year with, they play to their strengths. If they may not, they miss Mason Walker this year, as a linebacker who was a really big kid, so they're not going to plug somebody else in there that can go in there that can't quite hit it, as well as he can. But they've offset their scheme and things like that.
Yeah, there's no doubt that, and you'll even hear people, such as the guys on the podcast, Dennis Stuckey,
yeah,
and those guys, they'll talk about the Marine City staff is about as close to a college staff as you can get. I mean, you go up and down. I mean, Coach Darren Letzon's been there. I don't even know the amount of years, probably 20, 22 years. Dave Frent's been there probably 15. It might even be longer. Andy Shields, he's been here about probably 6 or so years, but he was with Clintondale for probably 15. Jim Heslop's been there a while. Tony Scarcelli's helping out as well on defense, and you don't need to have any introduction with him. How many years? Probably 35. I think it was about 1986, so about 35 years. Dave Oshland's been there a whole bunch of years. We picked up. How do you pick up a guy like Bill Nesbitt? Bill Nesbitt's. He was here, went to Coach St. Clair, did a great job there, came back, brought his buddy Tim Lolito, former NFL player, and Bill himself says Tim has got the knowledge and the way to teach kids. So, Brendan Kay came back and he's helping with quarterbacks. A guy like that obviously did big things in high school, then went to college and did big things. So, I can't imagine there's a staff that's any better prepared than that.
No, I wouldn't think so. And just the respect that they gain from the kids, and it goes. And we've talked, and you hear the guys in the podcast talking about it's all about buy-in. And buy-in has been huge here in Marine City forever. They know these coaches are going to lead them in the right direction, and if they do, what they say and execute, man, good things are going to happen.
Right. I noticed a lot of this time of year. Around town, you get people that'll be asking, "How's the team look? How's the team look?" Or asking questions. And obviously they came off a semifinal loss. You're one win away from going to Ford Field again, so it's disappointing that you lose. But a lot of returners, a lot of experience. That doesn't mean you're going back that far, though, either.
You don't take anything for granted, for sure.
As I say to a lot of people, it takes the methodical thought of what the coaches put together. It takes a little luck from the standpoint of being healthy, and then playing your schedule and not getting too big ahead, really, in this world that we're in. Because I noticed there was a game this year, totally different sport, but I think it was the Richmond girls softball team that ended up winning a state championship almost lost their district game to Elginak. And it was, don't quote me on the exactness, I don't know if it was one run, but it was on a couple plays. So, you take a team that wins a state championship like Richmond did in softball, if there was one more mistake or one little bleeder gets through, they get thrown out in the district finals, which would be a huge disappointment for any team, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
you still got to go out there every game and execute and do the best you can, and you definitely have to have some luck on your side, and also the way things get grouped in rankings and stuff like that. The Snooze to You website does a pretty good job of projecting who's going to be in what division, because they'll divide up depending on who makes the playoffs. Division 5 or whatever. You could be playing. There's always one or two teams on a bubble. Like somebody's either going to be in your playoff or not. It all depends who you run up against.
Now this year, the one thing that is different is we know already what division, who is in what division. In past years, you didn't know because some teams might not make it. So this year, if you want to go to MHSAA.com and look at it, you can find exactly who's in Division 5.
Because that's how the playoff points and things come out. They've already geographically divided number of kids. You know exactly who's in your group, and that's how they're going to compound the playoff points.
Right, and then you look at you can, it's not like I want to look ahead but you can look at the divisions, and you can, in some respects, pick out some likely scenarios. I'm not saying who's going to win it or who's going to be in the semis, but you can sort of figure what district, who's going to be in what, generally. Right now, if you look at our Division 5, I looked at it, don't have it in front of me, but there's not a lot of teams in Division 5 right around Marine City. You've got Richmond that is, and I believe you got Armada that is, but besides that, Marysville, St. Clair, they're in different divisions.
Elmont moved.
Did they move down?
I think they went to a Division 4.
Division 4. Okay, they went up a division, and then there's some that move down a division to Division 6. So it's probably a scenario that will probably play making the playoffs, some Detroit teams like that, because there tends to be some Division 5s in the east side of Detroit area like we played last year.
Yep.
So talk a little bit about some of the returning gentlemen that were starters and played a lot. And I'm not here to say who's going to be a starter, who's not going to be a starter. This is just off of our last games that we did. Carter Ames was on the line. Kyle Smallstig was on the line. Anthony Ruffino was a split end. And who knows if those guys are going to be in that position exactly, or they might be a different position. Generally speaking, if you were a solid starter last year, pretty good chance you're going to be a solid starter this year.
Yeah,
pretty good chance.
Somewhere on,
yeah,
they're going to plug you in wherever the coaching staff sees fit.
The backfield, Jeffrey Heslop's the quarterback. He was a sophomore last year. He's a junior this year. Charles Tigert's a senior now. Solid kid in the backfield. Zach Tetler was a starter as a sophomore, probably back to be a starter in the backfield. Not here to make any predictions. So there's 4 to 5 holes to fill. And the other thing that goes on too is that, all the games that the starters are out in the third or fourth quarter, there's a lot of downs played, and those kids are playing downs for next year.
Yeah, yep, so. Getting your feet wet, getting some experience there, and with the speed and tenacity, that varsity that football,
Yep. On the defensive side, you've got some line play to fill, no doubt, because we know that you graduated 3 guys on the line: Pastoria, and Schlotman. So those guys have got to fill those positions. Jacob Hincherich, he was a starter last year at end, probably play quite a bit this year. The rest of the backfield, you got Wyatt Walker's now a senior with a lot of experience. You got Charles Tigert, you got Caden Chapman, and Ty Nelson. So you've got some solid pieces back with some other guys to fill in, and some guys that played a lot of duty. Maybe they weren't starters last year, but maybe they played 50-60% of the downs, and there maybe be a starter this year. So we're looking forward to the season. As we said, we'll start it off at East China Stadium. I don't have the date in front of me, Jesse. It's Friday night.
It's the 27th.
Sounds about right.
Yep.
At East China Stadium. We are the home team. As Jesse said, 4 o'clock start time for JV game, 7 o'clock start for varsity. Anything else to talk about or add?
No, I just wanted to give a quick shout out to the. We run a benefit golf outing each year that benefits Marine City athletics, football, softball, and whatever other sports need a little help. So I just want to give a shout out to the whole sponsors there. It was another great success this year. Thank you for everybody, the whole sponsors, and even everybody that came and played in the outing. It was a great fun. Lumberjack of Marine City, Young Funeral Home, Serb Pro of Marine City, Hydrochem, the Dean Hill and Reyes family, Mike Alley of Edward Jones and St. Clair Financial Advisor, Maple Landscape, Parcell Construction, McDonald Pools, Steve L. Schultz, Bill and Nicole Westrick, Marine City Nursery, Downriver Landscape, Tony Scarcelli with Top Cats Apparel, Tranquility Spa, and LCB Farms, Jerry Warner out of Marine City. Those are all those donations are just very, very well appreciated. Thank you. And I know all the different kids in Marine City, whether it be the 7th grade basketball, the Marine City Little League, or varsity football program, the varsity or JV softball program. Those are all things that we've donated to in the past. So thank you very much to the sponsors and everybody else that comes out and golfs in that. It's a great fundraiser for these kids.
Yep. We'll also mention to look at watchctv.org. That is our website. That you can watch these games anytime you like. I'll call it in the olden days when I started with Jerry Bissett, we did those games. They were shown at midnight on Friday night, and they showed through Saturday and Sunday, and if you didn't catch it, you missed it. Nowadays, if you're on vacation halfway across the world and you want to watch a game, watchctv.org. You can watch the game in its entirety. You can stop it. You can watch it on your iPhone, whatever you want to watch.
You can watch it live, as a matter of fact, on a computer. And then, like I say, after they cut and edit it, it'll be about midnight, 1 o'clock on Friday night on actual CTV, their website. So.
Yep. So we'll hope everybody shows up at the stadium, watches us on Channel 6. the stadium, hopefully the parking lot and all the rest of the work will be done. We're not assured of all of it.
They're getting short on time, aren't they?
Yeah, they're getting a little short on time. I guess the scoreboard, waiting for chips that are not here.
Oh, I think they're here. I think I got word the other day that it's going to be installed this week. So
Okay.
brand new scoreboard for the East China Stadium. Both teams, St. Clair and Marine City, will benefit from that.
Yep.
Big video screen on there, and of course, like you say, the new asphalt for the new parking lot. So everything that I hear, they're on track to finish that. It'll probably be a late Thursday night, midnight finish, but
Sure.
we're looking forward to that Friday game for sure.
Yeah, I know Paul Dingeman said the trailer is still sitting in the parking lot on the opposite side of the stadium, so that's got to get moved over behind behind the stands on the home side, and then they got to rewire it. So if it doesn't go together in time, we might have one cameraman on the roof and the cables down to us in the booth. So whatever it takes.
We'll get it one way or another.
That's right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on CTV 6. Thanks.